Investigating an 11-year-old runaway, Brooklyn Park police wore hazmat suits going in and out of the home where at least 4 children lived.
The infestation of rodents and bugs inside the house is one of the reasons why the officers are using protective gear.
Then Chief Deputy Mark Bruley with a big revelation.
There was a child death investigation here in February that is still an open, active investigation.
Court records show that on the morning of February 1st, the 8-year-old brother of the other children in this house on Queen Avenue, Tavion Davis, was found dead by his mother. Hennepin County Child Protection Services tried to remove the other 4 children from the house during the investigation, but Judge Peter Cahill dismissed the petition, writing that the child appeared to die from influenza or some other illness. CPS filed another petition in May after they say the mother stopped cooperating with the death investigation. According to the court paperwork, medical professionals found neither a viral infection nor the flu caused the boy's death. There's, quote, no evidence of a drug overdose. CPS notes Tavion had older scars indicative of being struck with a belt or cord. His cause of death is undetermined. Monday afternoon, a neighbor found the 11-year-old who ran away 20 miles away and brought her home. Police say they found her 12-year-old brother in a park where he'd been living for 2 days, and another sibling at a friend's house. Police say the children are now in protective custody and the mother was hospitalized. Brooklyn Park city officials condemn the house due to health and safety conditions, so no one can live in it now. The mother has not been charged. A Hennepin County spokesperson released a statement about the efforts to remove the children from the home, saying child protection has acted diligently, and in the end, the juvenile court makes the final decision. Randy, Julie.
Oh my gosh, what a sad story.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lou.